Good report. Something to think about, right? Here's something else we want you to think about tonight. At least 35 people were killed in anti-coup protests after Bolivia's President Evo Morales was forced to resign this past November. Key word there, forced to resign, right? During that span, Morales was granted asylum in Mexico. And then Argentina said, look, you could come over here. So he took up residence last week there in order to be a little closer to home. And then, as if to rub the salt in the wound, Bolivia's de facto government has now issued an arrest warrant for Morales, even though he is the democratically elected president of Bolivia. Here to talk to us now about the situation in Bolivia and the U.S.'s role in all of this is RT producer Enrique Rivera, who has a doctorate, by the way, in Latin American studies. This whole thing just smells to high hell.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea that a man could win an election with 60% of the vote, and then somebody comes in and said, no, sorry, you didn't really win. We think the vote was rigged. We're going to remove you and put somebody else in. This sounds crazy.
It is crazy. It is crazy. And it's very clearly a coup, you know. And it's unfortunate that we have to address that question, you know. But our own government is saying it wasn't a coup. No, their allied governments in the region are saying it wasn't a coup.
Yeah.
The media here is reporting it wasn't a coup.
Of course it was a coup.
Exactly.
Well, first of all, he won with 60% of the vote.
Right.
And I think within something like 48 hours, somebody came out and said, no, the election was fixed.
Right.
Well, how do you make... Have you ever covered an election that needs to be canvassed?
Yeah.
It takes months.
Yeah, it takes
I
months.
have, right? You got to go through all the ballots. You got to pull them all out. You got to count them all one by one. Within 48 hours, they said, oh, no, we just don't trust the results.
Right.
That's crazy again.
Right. And the people who made that determination was the Organization of the American States, the OAS. And so the media is reporting, and our government is reporting as if they're a impartial observer.
They're not.
But we know historically that the OAS is pretty much a puppet of the U.S. government.
Yeah.
You know? And, I mean, it's like Pompeo saying, you know, hey, we don't like
Russia, we don't want Russia to put gas in Germany because it's going to hurt our companies. We want to be able to pump gas into Germany, and like the report we just had on.
And it's important to note that there have been studies conducted after the OAS published their findings say that, no, this isn't right. The OAS actually doesn't know what they're talking about.
And this woman who suddenly is the president of Bolivia, a woman whose background is a television host.
Right.
She had a kids' talk show or something, and suddenly she's the president.
Right.
Once again, crazy case number 3.
Yeah. I mean, and the reason she's president, well, she was a TV host. After she left TV, she ended up getting she studied law at the university there, and she got into politics. And so she's basically the highest ranking government figure of the opposition of the opposition movement or opposition party, the largest opposition party in Bolivia. And so she was actually 5th in line to be president. The only reason she is president is because she's with the opposition. Basically, everyone else that was ahead of her in line was a member of Morales' party. And so the military forced them all to resign. And so, yeah, coincidentally, right, they get the opposition figure as the new de facto president.
Number 5 gets moved up to number 1.
Exactly.
Well, thanks. I didn't know she had a law degree. I guess maybe, you know, I probably should have said that just to be fair. The other thing is apparently they're doing everything and holding the Bible while doing it, saying that this thing that they've done to remove a democratically elected president is what Jesus would want, right?
Right. Yeah, and
that just seems like dirty pool.
Yeah, and so, I mean, and Morales has called this the reinstallation of colonialism. Yeah. You know, and he has a point.
In other words, what the Spanish did when they came with the cross.
Exactly, with the Bible. And
killed all the indigenous people.
Right. And so these people are coming in with the Bibles. Actually, one of the coup leaders, Camacho, actually said on record that he snuck a Bible into the presidential house. Yeah. And that is what forced Morales to resign.
The force of the Bible somehow got the elected president to leave.
Yeah, yeah.
How crazy is this?
It's very crazy. It's extremely crazy.
You have something you wanted to show us.
Yeah, so we have, I mean, going back to the question about whether or not it's a coup, of course, it's insane to question this because it so clearly is. Yeah. But let's provide more evidence to this. I mean, of these unilateral moves that the government has done, which goes completely against the will of the Bolivian people. They withdrew from ALBA, TCP, which is a commercial and political bloc
Something the previous government had done, they undid.
Exactly.
Right?
They recognized Juan Guaidó, the president of Venezuela, as president of Venezuela. So one self-appointed president is recognizing another. They expelled over 700 Cuban doctors who were giving free medical aid to the poorest communities in the country, basically to say, hey, we hate Cubans. Reestablished ties with USAID, who had been kicked out for interference many years before. Reestablished ties with Israel. No,
but that's interesting. That list that you just showed us right there, and I guess there's more. Did you want to take us through some?
Yeah. So issued the arrest against Morales, created an anti-terrorism unit with help from Israel, banned Telesud, which is a leftist.
Every one of these things that you're reading to us, that we were just looking at on the air right there, lines up exactly with Washington's agenda.
Definitely.
If Washington were writing a script, that's exactly the script they would have written.
Right.
Which tells us what?
That Washington was intimately involved in the planning and the execution of this coup. I mean, if you're an ally of Washington historically in the present, you can't sneeze without getting approval from Washington.
And again, you know, not to sound un-American, we love the United States of America, proud to be, you know, representing this country, but nobody checked with me.
Right.
My Congress didn't approve this.
Right.
The media didn't report this.
Right.
Nobody knows about these things. So the fact that our government could literally pull off a coup in some other country without us as citizens being aware of it is wrong and shameful.
It is. It is.
And it's not something that we should do without at least having an opportunity to democratically talk about it. That's the problem, right?
Yeah, that is a problem.
And it's the Latin American model.
It is. It is. I mean, this has been going on for decades, since at least the start of the Cold War.
Unbelievable. Well, I'm glad we have a chance to talk about it, and more people should. All right. Thanks, Enrique. Good stuff.